Hello, sixth graders. It's Mrs. Ward. I am going to show you how I would fill in my story writing graphic organizer. So I have it pulled up here in Cami. So what I did is I clicked the document and right in the middle it said open with. I clicked the arrow and picked Cami. It starts with a K. Now from here, I can go over to my bar along the side and click text box so that I can type in the words that I want to do for each of my blocks. So for this story, we are going to come up with a pretend story. I know our last narrative story we did as a real event from our lives. This one we're going to do as a pretend story. It can have some sort of suspense or scariness to it if you want. I know we're in October. But it's totally up to you. If that stresses you out or you do not do scary things, that's fine. You can just do a fun pretend story. Now you'll notice that on this story plan, we need to have a setting where a story takes place. We need to have a character, a main character that we're going to really elaborate on. And we're going to have some sort of obstacle. An obstacle is a problem. So we have to think about what is a problem that our character could have. And then we're going to think of a fun little story starter. So I'm going to model what I might do for my story. And you're going to get a chance to do this yourself and think up your own story. So I'm going to start, I am going to make mine a little bit suspenseful, but I'm not really going to go into any like magic or spookiness or crazy things like that. That's just my choice. So for my setting, I'm going to say my setting is I'm walking home from a friend's house in the woods. I'm going to have my character take a shortcut through the woods. My character, you get to pick. You can use yourself as a model for your character, or you can use somebody else you know. I'm going to have my main character be Kara. And I'm modeling this. I'm going to tell you the secret. I'm modeling it after my daughter, Kara. An obstacle is I'm going to say she was taking the shortcut, but she's going to get, oops, there's my text box, lost in the woods. And when she's lost in the woods, she hears a noise that startles her. So that's going to be kind of like the problem that my character has in this story. So now I need to think about the story starter, how I'm going to set it up. Now you'll notice, am I writing in complete sentences yet? No, this is just a plan. When I go through to my real story and type it up, of course, I'll write complete sentences with capitals and periods and details. But right now, I'm just using phrases or groups of words to try to remind myself, oh, that's what I wanted. So for my story starter, I'm going to say she decides to take a shortcut home, and it's starting to get dark. So we're kind of going to set her up for her problem there. Now I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look at my characters. You'll notice, you might have already noticed this, each time I go back and I click text box so that Cami knows that's what I want to click here for. So my main character, so now I'm thinking of my character that I'm coming up with. It could be somebody completely imagined, or you can, like I said, model it after a real person. I'm going to model it after my daughter. So I'm going to talk about what she looks like. She has brown hair, brown eyes. She's skinny. She always wears like sparkly clothes. It's kind of going out of the box here. Let me move it over. This is how you drag it. Like that. Whoa. There it goes. And then I'm going to describe my character and how she acts. So I'm going to say she's very energetic. That is true of my Kara. She gets nervous easily. That is also true of my Kara. And she likes to be around people. She doesn't like being alone. She loves to be around other people. And these are all true things about Kara, my real Kara. Now, I'm thinking of an antagonist. An antagonist is like the bad guy in the story or the troublesome thing in the story. Now in mine, I'm going to kind of keep it secret in my story. So I'm going to be really vague about my antagonist. You might have a very clear antagonist, like there is a bad guy, doing something, in your story. That's the problem for your character. But I don't want to get my story too stressful or scary. So I'm going to keep my antagonist kind of, she's not really sure because she's in the woods and it's getting dark. So I'm going to say I got to click text box again. I'm going to say too dark to see. She can't really see what's in the woods with her, but she hears something. So I'm going to say in my acts like, here's walking in the woods. So she knows someone is there with her. And that's really all we know, because we're not going to find out about my antagonist till the end. All right, now we're going to elaborate more on our setting. So again, I'm going to go to text box. It leaves you some lines, but I don't want complete sentences. Just do like words and phrases again. So I'm going to say for my story, it takes place in the woods outside of town. And she's taking the shortcut path. Oops. Shortcut path. I kind of already mentioned this stuff before, but I'm going to be a little bit more descriptive. When does the story take place? I'm going to use the word, you might have heard this word before, dusk. Dusk is right in the evening time where it's starting to get dark, but it's not quite pitch black yet. And then I'm going to describe the place. I'm going to describe the woods. There's lots of trees. So because of that, you can't see far away. And it's starting to get dark. And there's lots of sticks on the ground. That's why she could hear that someone else was walking with her. All right, now I'm going to go to my next page and talk about my plot. For my plot, I want to talk about the beginning of the story where there's an obstacle, kind of set up how that happens. So again, I'm going to do words and phrases, and some of them I have used before, and it's okay to repeat some things, but I'm going to try to be a little bit more descriptive. So I'm going to say, Kara was taking a shortcut. She got lost. Oop, I keep writing lots. Lost in the woods. Her biggest fear is being all alone, because remember I said in the beginning she loves to be around people, and this is true of my Kara. She does not like to be alone. So this is like a huge problem for my character. Now we're going to come to the middle of our story, and we're going to try to fix the problem, but fail 2 times. Then by the end of the story, the 3rd time, the problem will be fixed. Have you ever noticed that pattern in a lot of books or movies? There'll be like a pattern of 3. Like the character will try something and it won't work the first time. They'll try something else, but it won't work the 2nd time. And the 3rd time they try, then everything works out. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say her first attempt. So I'm trying to think, if she's lost in the woods, what would make sense? I'm going to say she tries to look for the clearing. Because the clearing would let her know she's getting close to the outside of the woods, but she ends up going in a circle. So she goes in a circle. She recognizes that, and I'm going to go into detail when I write my story. She recognizes that actually she just went in a circle. The second thing she's going to try to do is tries to call home to her mother, but her phone is dead. So she can't call or text anyone. So that was her second hope, but didn't work out. So now I'm going to talk about the end of my story. So this is the part where she's going to hear the noise of someone with her in the woods. And it turns out to be, I'm going to make it her neighbor's lost dog from down the street. So it ended up not being scary after all. The dog is scared and lost too. So together they walk home and they find their way out of the woods. So mine has a happy ending. Down here, we just want to make sure that we have a lot of descriptive words as we write. So we're going to think about our 5 senses. So I'm going to think of like, what sounds would she hear while she's in the woods? I'm just going to do a couple extra things. Maybe like an owl hooting. That's always kind of like a, I'm scared and alone type of noise. Things that she would see. I mean, if you're in the woods and it's dark, there's not really much to see other than trees everywhere, right? So I'm just going to leave it at that. Smells or tastes. If she's in the woods, she might smell the pine trees. They have a really nice smell. Something that she might smell. And then textures. I'm going to say, what would she be feeling? Maybe the sticks poking her feet as she walks along. So each of these things can turn into a sentence later in your story to give more description to your story. So I just finished my whole plan. Mine went fast. I don't expect your plan to go this fast. Did you notice that I kept looking down over here? I had jotted down my ideas ahead of time. So that's why I was able to type in my ideas really fast. Your story plan will probably take more time and more thinking. So don't worry if you're taking a lot longer than me. That's normal. So let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see your stories. Bye.